60s are going by now, and 50s are going by now.
Yeah.
We're ready for the council
We
meeting
just
already.
skipped right from the 60s to-
But Andy said, these two papers here for us, that's our
Kind of like we didn't
code
get
of
to the
what we're
70s
talking
or 80s,
about.
we just went from 90 to 60.
I was glad to have it as long as we had it.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
The last couple days have been.
Bob is not handy, so we can get started. After seven.
Oh, I didn't get it, so, all right.
Want me to just go ahead and start, or you want me to?
Yep.
Okay, at this point in time, we'll call the meeting of the Planning Commission to order. If you'd all stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first item on the agenda would be approval of the minutes of the September 18th meeting. I believe Andrew emailed them all out to everybody, so unless you had any problems, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion on those? Andrew, would you call roll, please?
Dick, did you second that?
Yes.
Okay. Motion on the floor to approve the September 18th, 2023 meeting minutes. Mayor?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Tyson?
Yes.
Brian?
Yep.
Jack?
Yes.
Motion carried, minutes approved.
Okay, next item is the Lincoln Park Site Development Plan Review, 301 East Butler Street. I'll go ahead and turn it over to Andrew.
This is more for just to let the neighbors know, see if they have any concerns. We will go ahead and go through the drawings here. On the screen is the initial conceptual plan for the Lincoln Park located at the old Lincoln School site. As you can see, they got playground here in the center, restroom, and that's the plan for right now. The parking lot was already installed. They are looking at several options for the future, activity field, shelter house, pavilions, whatnot. But as of right now, it is just the playground and restroom area. I'm going to switch it over to Denny Bell's site plan. Currently, we have a sanitary sewer running north and south right here. So they're going to put the bathroom off of that and hook into that sewer. And then the playground will be to the west of that. This plan is not completely accurate. It is going to be shifted north a little bit, so it's not going to be, the playground's not going to be right on the sidewalk on East Butler Street. As you can see, this is an older drawing. The existing playground has been removed. And as I said before, parking has been installed off the alley here already. Let me zoom in here. This is the playground equipment. So, you got zip lines, you got swings, then you kind of got like an elevated playground equipment here with slides and whatnot. Ben, do you have anything that you like to add?
Place went through Central. That's slippery.
I only
Today, Brian.
received one call from Norma Fruth. She thinks this is a great idea. Her concerns were with people walking their dogs, not picking up after them, and vandalism, which I talked with Ben, and he has taken into consideration both those items. So, but she thinks this is a great idea. So. Anybody have any questions, concerns?
Does anybody from the public have any concerns? I think there's only one individual from the public.
I actually did have a question. Do I need to?
Yes.
go to-
Yes, please.
Afternoon, Michael Leroux. Could you go back to the conceptual map real quick there?
Yep.
Andy? Thank you. My question would be on the parking area, is there any intent to pave that, or is it kind of like the gravel that it is now? And then also on top of that, on the more west end, is there any intention to add like another speed bump in there? On the east side, there's, I think, 2 speed bumps, but there's nothing on the other side. And sometimes, I live like right off the
Yeah.
the alley there, and so.
Yeah,
I've
I
seen
think
cars
currently
get
there's
some
like a
pretty good
speed bump. I believe it's right in here.
Yep, there
And then
should
there's
be
one down
there.
here.
Correct, yeah.
Yep.
Ultimately, I would say the city would end up paving those parking stalls when they redo the alley.
Okay.
But like from the engineering perspective, I think we were kind of waiting to see what other construction was going to need to be taking place
Okay.
in there, sewers dug up or anything.
Right.
Hate to pave something and have it get tore up, so.
Right,
When
exactly.
we get a more firm future conceptual plan, I'm pretty sure we will end up paving those spots with the alleyway through there.
Okay.
As far as the speed bump, I don't think we're intending on putting one in. The parks may, but if the traffic gets crazy, we'll readdress it and put
Okay.
one in, so.
Yeah, I've just, living back there for about 3 years now, until you hit that first speed hump, like, I've seen some cars get some pretty good
Okay.
speed back there.
We could look into it,
Okay.
absolutely.
Cool, thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Gonna say there is an aging sewer underneath that
Yeah,
alley.
we talked about
so-
redoing it, yeah.
So the goal would be to get that replaced and then redo the alley, so.
Any other city departments have any questions, comments, concerns? I see a lot of no shakers out there. Oh, Mr. Sullivan?
Is there gonna be any lighting on the parking lot side? Plans for lighting? Or-
We have not thought of any yet. Ben, have you, are your parks closed after dusk, or?
Yeah, I mean, we'll want to do some form of security lighting because with the camera system, we'll have to have some form of light. I don't know exactly how that's going to lay out just yet. I'm trying to kind of get it in place and then see. There are a couple poles, both, I think there's one in the alley and then there's also a couple over on Butler, that we may do a couple of those packs at the restrooms. Obviously we have some success with the packs, but not over, just enough so you can see, but not enough that it becomes an issue for the neighbors.
Yeah, we just have to come off that line north of the alley.
Mhm.
Behind there.
Okay.
It's about the only line that we would have to come off of. So
You say it's just north of?
north of the alley.
Okay, gotcha, okay. No, they'll.
More than likely.
He's got
Do you have any
that
hours?
system where they jump each other. Yeah.
Ben, do you have any rough hours of operation for the restrooms? Just, he was asked if they're gonna be closed overnight, or,
Right, we'll probably leave them open, we'll probably do them kind of like we do Imagination Station unless we have lots of problems. If we have lots of problems, then we'll go back to locking them back down. I mean, we've had some issues at Imagination Station, but we have issues everywhere, so it's just kind of gauging how much damage they're doing. And with the camera systems, we've also had luck with prosecuting the ones that are doing it. So, we'll just kind of weigh it and see how well it works out.
okay,
I wish I could tell you we'd leave them open all the time, but, obviously, if we continue to have to replace damaged toilets and things like that, at some point, it gets to be too financially cumbersome to continue to leave them open.
okay.
It'll be clearly posted. How's that?
There you go.
That way people will know.
Okay, any other questions from the floor? Any questions from the commission members?
The restrooms are out for bid right now, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
When do you see the timeframe of the park opening?
We'd like to be open mid-May
I
of
think we have a
2024.
We have a tentative completion date of middle of May, I believe, on the plans, on the bid specs for the restroom.
Had someone come in late.
Are they doing a work day or something for building that Lincoln Park? Like they did over at Imagination thing, they're not doing anything?
No, we have liability, insurance liability issues now, so 30 years ago, 26, 27 years ago, when that was built and we could use volunteers, things have changed in liability laws, so we can't do that anymore, unfortunately.
Is there any kind of things like the Girl Scout troops could go help?
I don't think so, only because they've preliminary already put some trees out there, so mulching around that's been done, and a lot of this is not gonna have mulch, because we're trying to make it accessible for all children, including those with walkers and wheelchairs, so a lot of it's gonna be that poured in place, so it will be done by a contractor. But I appreciate you asking.
Well, if they need Girl Scouts to help, let me know. And
Sure.
I've got girls from kindergarten all the way up through senior in high school that are willing to put in community service hours on it.
We'll keep that in mind. You guys do a good job out at the Butterfly Gardens, too.
Okay, anything further from anyone? Guess it,
No comments.
all right, if not, I will either entertain a motion to approve or deny.
I shall make the motion to approve.
All right, motion on the floor. Andrew, would you call roll?
Motion on the floor to approve the site development plan for Lincoln Park. Dick?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Tyson?
Yes.
Bryan?
Yes.
All right. Motion carried, site plan approved.
Okay, next item on the agenda is discussion of zoning code update. If you recall, it's been quite a while. We've been working with consultants on changing the zoning code, and Andrew, I believe, sent that out to everybody last month for review. I think Andrew had a few points he wanted to go over with everyone, so I'll turn that over to you if you would like to discuss those, Andy.
All right, give me a second here. All right, we'll do a brief overview here before we get into our discussion items. Basically, this new zoning code reorganized the previous zoning code, make it more user-friendly and condensed. We ended up eliminating the Board of Appeals. Planning Commission will now hear appeals to determinations of the zoning administrator. So if I mess up, somebody calls me a task on it, it'll go to you guys to sort out. Court of Common Pleas will hear appeals to Planning Commission decisions. So say, for example, we denied this site plan today and Ben decided to fight it, it would go to Court of Appeals.
No. Common Pleas Court.
Common Pleas
Or
Court, yeah.
Common Pleas.
Does the court have to agree to hear this type of, if it goes through a litigation?
That is a good question. I'm not quite sure how that process works.
You went through Mark on this, though,
We-
right?
Yeah, Mark Fischel, city attorney, was on board with this.
Yeah, this was his recommendation, and a lot of other municipalities do
Yeah.
the same way. They just send it right onto the court rather than,
Right.
Which,
It
which
just-
currently, there are some things in our current zoning code that go to Court of Appeals. Others went to, or Court of Common Pleas. There were other things that went to the Board of Appeals, though. So now we're just everything onto the Court of Common Pleas.
Okay.
And in the 6 years I've been here, I don't think we've had a single appeal. You
I
guys
can remember.
recall?
couple.
In the 22 years I've been here, I think there have been 3.
Yeah, so it's not a frequent event.
Yep.
And then, yeah, when we do end up having one, then we gotta make sure all the board members, it's just simpler eliminating it. So, any other questions on that?
No.
Moving on, we eliminated the C3 Design Review Committee. I'm still gonna utilize personnel from that committee for decisions. We're just pretty much eliminating the meeting process, try to speed things up. We ended up changing the plat approval process. Final plats approval can now happen before construction is completed. This again is to help speed up the process. However, the final plat will not be recorded until after council accepts the improvements.
This was always cumbersome for us. We would have planning commission meeting with preliminary plat. They would go build it. They would come back for a planning commission meeting for final plat approval. Well, of course, we're gonna approve it. And then we'd have to wait 2 or 3 weeks to get on the city council agenda to have them approve it. So there was sometimes it was 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks after they were done with construction before they could sell lots, plus another 30 days for it to become law to record. So we pulled a lot of other municipalities and most of them are the same way. They come here for the plat approval, they build it, then they go to city council and city council accepts the improvements, and accepts the street and accepts the utilities and then it's done. We record it then. So we can cut 4 or 5 weeks out of the whole process here by doing this.
Next, fences, 4 foot tall in the front yard if the fence is 50% open. This would be your chain link fence. 3 foot tall if it's a solid fence, basically. Conditional uses, removed owners shall reside at the bread and breakfast establishment. If they want to run a B&B, they do not have to live there now. Remove drive-through facility and ATM conditional use regulations. Removed fenced-in outdoor storage of fleet vehicles for hospitals. Reduced the 300-foot setback for a junkyard to 150. Separated outdoor display and outdoor dining into their own regulations. In our current code, they are all kind of lumped into one and it is just messy, so we decided to separate those out to make them clear. Outdoor display in a C3 can be in the right of way. Allow 4 foot unobstructed space. Again, puts us in line with the outdoor dining in the C3. And remove the fenced-in outdoor storage of fleet vehicle requirements.
So on that one, if they have material that has to be fenced in but not vehicles?
Vehicles do not have to be fenced in. Outdoor storage of supplies and whatnot, yes, does need to be fenced in.
Right, so like Johnson Supply in the industrial park, their outdoor material needs fenced in, but Fastenal has 2 fleet vehicles. They can sit outside overnight without being fenced in.
And John's Towing has a ton of vehicles that don't need to be fenced in?
There's a difference between
That's
fleet vehicles and
storage
short-term
vehicles.
So that
Yeah.
would need to be fenced?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand the differences.
Right.
Let me put it this way. For the 2 vehicles we have sitting out back here, do you want to fence in that whole parking lot?
Gotcha.
That's what the code requires,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, trying to get more in line. Signage, temporary signs. We changed the 30 days prior to an election to 90 days before an election. This was due to the early voting. You're still go with that, right?
As long as it fits within, remember the Supreme Court ruling that said we couldn't limit that?
I will double check
We'll
on
double
that.
check that with legal.
Yeah.
Because we did have 30 days before, and then there was a Supreme Court ruling that came in for another state that said that that wasn't constitutional. We still have the language in there that they have to remove them 30 days after an election. Correct?
No, it says remove after the election.
Okay.
Doesn't give a time frame.
Do we need to define that?
We can ask, they didn't recommend, they took it out, the time frame we had, based on the recommendation, but we can ask, that's fine.
Okay. But no, I
Early,
think 90
early
days
voting
plenty.
is not 90 days prior to election.
No, it's not, but the problem you have is if you would limit it to 30 days, they've already opened up early voting before you put any signs out at
Well, I
all.
realize 30 days, but
90 seems long too, but I wonder if that was
yeah,
the,
I wonder if we could.
That might have been from the
correspond that
Supreme
time.
Court ruling.
it might have been from the Supreme Court ruling that had to
I
allow
see.
it. And that's what we're gonna have to double check, because I agree, 3 months is a long time,
Yeah.
on top of the month of election.
Also in part of temporary signs, we changed the 10-foot front setback, to private property. So basically keep your sign off the right of way. There still is a 10-foot side yard setback for the sign. C3 signs, we changed the max height from 2 foot to 4 foot. We changed the letter height from 12 inches max to 30 inches max. And we are now allowing awning, canopy, and freestanding signs in the C3. The signs attached to the building, which was the 4-foot height and the 30-inch letter height, they are still limited by the square footage requirement, based on their building frontage. So most storefronts downtown are 22 foot wide, so they're allowed 44 square feet. So now whether that's 2 foot tall or 4 foot tall, that's up to them, so. And parking, we removed the enclosed parking space requirement for residential uses. This was for single-family and two-family dwellings. Meet more with what we're doing. And we also removed the certificate of occupancy procedures from the planning and zoning code.
We weren't doing those anyways, were we?
No.
Yeah.
That's more for residential use, commercial and industrial get their C of Os from the state, so. Any questions on those or anything you'd like to add? All right, I have the following discussion items. Section, I believe I got the wrong section number on that. 115106A2, that is from the old code, it's not from the new code, but it states there is a 750 square foot ground floor dwelling requirement. Typically, it's not an issue, but in the older parts of town, it could be an issue. I do have one case where a guy in the older part of town wants to build a garage on the first floor and then have his dwelling unit on the second floor. So there would essentially be
Two-car garage with a-
zero dwelling space on the first floor. Kind of a unique situation. The one in question, it's a corner lot and it's only 60 by 66 feet.
So you can only build a 30 by 30.
Yeah, it's
Roughly,
tight. Per our current zoning code, he would have to come to this commission to get a variance. Typically, I don't think we're gonna run into this very often, so I don't know if you wanna keep the 750 square foot ground floor requirement or do away with it.
My suggestion
Personally,
would
I
be to
think we ought to
keep it.
keep it.
Yeah, because what if that was someone that actually wanted to put a mechanic shop in-home business? They would need to come here and discuss that versus just doing it.
Yeah, the home occupation inside, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
if it's seldom an issue,
leave it.
We'll let them get the
Leave it in.
variance.
Okay.
Got it?
All right, item number 2, section 116403, 30% rear yard coverage requirement. Let me see if I can get to the page here.
I guess in layman's terms, they're only allowed to improve 30% of their backyard with patios, pools, is that what?
Yes, right here it is. Maximum area and rear yard coverage for accessory buildings and structures. Total area of accessory building and structures located in the rear yard shall not occupy more than 30% of the rear yard. New subdivisions, this is not an issue. This is, again, an issue in the older parts of town. I believe I've only maybe calculated this 4 times in the 20 years I've been doing this. I guess my question is, should this only be for buildings and exclude pools, patios, and decks?
What happens if they put a pool over a sewer line?
That, well, they can't because of an easement. They still gotta meet their setbacks. Case in point, I own a lot and a half in the older parts of town. I have a pool and a pool shed. I calculated it out, and I'm like at 33%. And I own a lot and a half.
what's your recommendation?
My recommendation would be only have this for buildings. But if you got a small yard and you want to do a deck, I don't have a problem with that, as long as you meet setbacks. Or if you want to do a pool, as long as you meet setbacks. I don't care if the pool takes up your whole backyard.
Right.
And in some cases, it would.
Right.
Some of the
In
smaller
an old
yards.
part of town, like if your house was just one lot, you didn't have a second lot, your whole backyard was
Yeah.
pool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then, yeah, then it would jump up to, yeah, probably 85%.
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't have a problem with just using that to only consider structures, structure sheds, exempt the pools, patios.
Okay. And by all means, anybody got a comment back there, pipe up. Item number 3, agricultural conditional use.
Right now, we've got, let's say somebody developed a subdivision, they only phased part of it. The rest of it just sits in the farm. We've got other lots, out on South Street, the old Bryan Packaging, Bryan Canning Company, the south side of it there. They don't really farm it, but it's haylage. They bale it for hay. Not really allowed in that district, but I'd rather have them farm it than, so, you know, we were talking, should commodity crops be permitted in any district? You know, if you have, and even in the industrial park, we farm, that's farmed out. But I don't know if technically it's allowed via zoning code or not to do that. So I think what we're wanting to do is allow commodity crops, corn, beans, wheat, and alfalfa could be permitted in any district. I mean, I don't see large scale, but I'd rather see 5 acres farmed to hay than let it grow to weeds.
Yep.
I think that's where we were going with that, right, Andrew?
Yeah, it's conditional use in an R1 currently. Currently, it is located in several zones. pretty much everything but the C3
Right.
right now.
Might be a garden in the C3, you don't know.
So, yes, that was our question. Should commodity crops be permitted in any district? I'm trying to think why this agricultural conditional use is in there, and the only thing I can think of, somebody wanted to grow grapes or something.
Right.
I don't see it being a large scale, but, wanted to grow grapes or flowers or, something like that.
Are we still gonna make them come get a conditional use for that property, or?
Yes, yes, in that case,
I heard that, just kidding, I didn't, but I assumed.
yes, in that case, if it's not a commodity crop, yes, it would still have to come for conditional use for approval.
Well, but if it is a commodity crop, it doesn't have to?
Correct.
Correct.
Because everything is being farmed around here now.
I know.
They're gonna
Doesn't come
continue
to
to
us.
farm.
Yeah, but what else fits in commodity? I mean, besides beans?
Corn, beans, wheat, alfalfa, oats, commodity,
That's it?
there's a definition of commodity.
Okay.
And we could make sure the definition of commodity says locally grown commodities, corn, beans, wheat,
Well, I
alfalfa,
think we probably
oats.
should.
Yeah, we'll define it.
Otherwise, we could have a pumpkin patch in the middle of town that, those tend to go into neighbors' properties if we're
Right.
not careful, and then
Pumpkins aren't necessarily commodities.
that's what I was verifying.
So yes, if somebody wanted to do that, they would have to,
I'm doing conditional.
Yeah, we can define commodity.
Great.
Would the commodity be considered for personal use? I mean, obviously, commodity,
I'm not sure today, but we'll know more December 7th.
Certain plants may or may not be commodities.
Actually, we'll probably know more in September because they're still defining.
I think.
I don't know. That's-
We'll define in this case commodities being corn, soybeans, wheat, oats, alfalfa, or haylage. I think we'll define those 6. Because we rarely grow canola here, there's no market for it. And then that would leave large vegetable production and whatnot that they have to come back
And if
for
we're growing
conditional
other
use.
things, like I really think that we probably need to fence that in. Instead of just,
cross that bridge when.
Yep,
Right.
cross that
Before we
bridge when we
get there.
there.
right, so if we define it now, we don't have to worry
Corn, beans,
about-
wheat, oats, and hay.
Is that fair? Is that okay, Dick? I
guess.
I know.
I guess it's going through my mind that if, take for example, out Greystone, the new area out there, and someone decides, not gonna build a house right now, but I'm gonna
Gonna
put in
grow.
a large garden.
Yeah.
Gardening does not fall underneath this.
Correct.
Pardon me?
Gardening does not fall under this. This is
Okay,
large scale
what's-
farming.
Use your
considered garden.
imagination for what he might be talking about in a garden.
I'm talking about somebody decides to grow popcorn.
Okay.
You got the stalks.
That'd be considered
You got-
gardening. That wouldn't be a commodity.
Well, that's where I guess I
Yeah.
don't know exactly what the definition that you're getting at with talking
And-
about a commodity crop versus,
Right. So what did we do for the community garden? Did they not have to come here and get a conditional use for that property?
They did. We
I
met,
think so,
discussed it.
yeah.
We discussed
So we
it.
need to just make sure we don't remove that requirement?
It's defined here somewhere. Let me find it.
Because in that space, it's worked out really well for their community garden.
Mhm.
But they still had to come, so we just
They
need
had
to
to.
make sure that they have, whoever that may be would have to come before the commission.
So,
It's in the conditional use requirements.
I think anything, if we define commodity crops as those 5 crops, anything other than corn, beans, wheat, oats, alfalfa, or haylage will have to come to us for a conditional use.
Okay, the regulations established for an agricultural use are not intended to restrict or regulate recreational gardening accessory to a residential use.
But is it common accessory, because then you have to have a house there in order
Yeah.
to do the
Yeah.
garden?
Correct.
Yeah,
So you're covered there,
Okay.
right?
yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that's why the gardening folks came, because.
The whole lot was a garden.
It was the, yeah, the whole lot.
So what prohibits, say, 3 lots in Greystone that have been purchased, and they say, you know, we're just gonna put alfalfa on here and bale it? Is there anything to prohibit that once we change this?
No, that would be allowable.
That would be allowed.
But it's not now? Not
It's
without
never been an
conditional.
issue before, we're just trying to bring it.
It's never been defined.
Into compliance.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, that's the gray area, right? It hasn't been an issue now, but it could be an issue later.
but it hasn't been defined before necessarily. It wasn't, it was only a conditional use in an R1 district only, currently.
Currently.
Currently, conditional use. Not allowed in commercial, not allowed in industrial, not allowed in MU.
Right,
But
so now we're
farming
gonna
and
permit it
industrial.
everywhere without any conditional, right?
Corn, beans, wheat,
Yes,
alfalfa.
which is currently what is happening.
In some places. But if it started to happen, like, say someone has a fire and they demolish the building and they just grow corn in a lot in town,
You're not gonna grow corn on a 60 by 60 lot.
someone could.
There's some realistic,
I mean, not everyone's giant farmers like you. I'm just throwing it out there.
No, I know.
Like, at what point do we make sure we're
It-
still protecting the value of the neighborhood?
when we redid the zoning code prior to me being here in 2001, we tried to adapt the zoning code to what currently exists
Right?
and rezoned a few things. We're not rezoning with this code, but we've got uses that are happening that we don't have a definition for and don't have any reason to tell them they can or cannot do it. And this is just one red flag that came up. We're just trying to fit the current code to what current agricultural uses are out there. Because right now, currently, they're banned. Right now, we're not allowed, we're not supposed to allow it in the industrial.
And then we're not enforcing it.
Right, because what else do we want to do? Do we want to, the Bryan North Industrial Park, do we want to let that grow up to weeds and mow it 6 times a year? We've
What if-
been allowing farming.
What if we require conditional use in all zones and then go tell them they have to just get this okayed and blessing? That way, if it comes an issue in a subdivision development that they don't want it, no?
I think that would be cumbersome for the grandfathered uses.
I do too.
Unless,
It happens a lot.
I know.
Which has never been an
Could be
issue.
handled with an ordinance, though, on a grandfather clause, that anybody before this date that was doing this is grandfathered in, and anybody after. I know. But I get what you're saying, though, that could be a potential issue in a neighborhood that, while small, I doubt it would happen.
I mean, you could put a size requirement on it.
have their own?
Their homeowners association is
Yeah.
hit or miss.
Yeah,
I'm sure that they probably have rules against that already in their.
Right.
they might.
Yeah, in an R1, the conditional use minimum lot regulation is an acre for agricultural.
Right. And we could keep that same
Okay,
acre minimum.
well, that should cover that then.
So that'd be 3 lots.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So allow commodities greater than 1 acre. Okay. That help?
Fine with me.
No, you were gonna listen to this.
All right,
Temporary uses.
okay, section 1170.37, temporary uses. We need to pull permits for temporary uses. Currently, we are not doing this. Temporary uses, 2 things that come to mind, to me, are the CVS flower and produce sales and the Lions Club Christmas tree sales. it does state in here, temporary uses, carnivals, festivals, and other similar community events. Typically, those are taken care of with police
Assembly
permitting,
permit.
right?
Yeah, yeah, because we do assemblage permits for those when they shut down the streets. But
We
when they're
still-
in private parking lots,
Do we still require permits for garage sales?
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
That's just to limit somebody from having a garage sale every week all summer long.
Sure. Well,
So,
Well, I think you can still do this, charge the $1.
Yeah, but it's not like there's 100 uses. There's only a couple a year. We either need to enforce what we're doing or we need to get rid of it.
well, I think
I
it's a
think
matter
we
of
can enforce
just,
it.
matter of control, you know.
so, yeah, I don't think we want to get rid of it.
Mhm.
Like I said, the only two things that come to mind
Well, that's
are the
not-
CVS and the Lions Club sales.
There's been other activity with political times in that lot where the tree farm is that we probably should have told them they needed a permit for.
So we can do a minimal fee for that?
Mhm.
What's your current minimum fee right now? An application fee, is it 20? So do we do the $20 fee, or if it's a not-for-profit, the mayor can waive that? Or have
Yeah.
the zoning administrator can waive it?
Yeah,
They have an active 501c3?
I think that's how we write it. And then it can be for 12 months,
Yep,
so it's a one, that way we're
Once
not
a year
charging
permit.
CVS like, or the St. Pat's folks for every day, or the tree farm guys for every day. The Lions Group,
All right, so what was the fee?
$20, waive
minimum
if they're a
fee.
501c3. Waived by zoning administrator
Okay.
or his designee, that way if you're out of,
I'm trying to think of other uses, and I really don't, I can't come up with anything.
or somebody else is selling something on somebody else's property.
Like the tool sale, that usually happens inside
The Knights of Columbus out
Knights of
there.
Columbus though, right?
I've seen them out, the old, the old certified, they've been out there before.
Okay.
Now, like I said, it's a handful of times, so we'll just start enforcing it.
All right.
The 127 garage sale.
Well, those are exempt. That's a garage sale. We don't even have permits for the garage sales
we
for that
don't, we
week.
waive them for those 3 days.
So yeah, these are just for standalone incidents, not related to any carnival, festival.
Correct.
Because that's already covered under the police code,
Okay.
Mhm.
yes.
All right, sign administrative procedures. Nope. I would like to remove building marker and instructional signs, from requiring a permit.
A building marker, that would be an example like your street address is in a masonry part of the building? Is that what you
Yes,
talked about?
or like a historical.
If they want to put a historical placard on,
Yeah.
Right.
waive the need for a permit.
Yes.
And what would an example of an instructional sign that wouldn't require a permit?
To me, I'm thinking these incidental signs,
No purses, handbags allowed in the building?
yeah. Nothing that's 4x8,
Right,
you know, just
yeah.
a
You got
small sign on a post telling you what to do.
Yeah, building hours,
Yeah.
use this door.
Yeah. What was that, for building signs? Building marker, a sign cut into the exterior building surface or otherwise permanently mounted on the building indicating name of the building, address, date of construction, incidental information about the construction or historical significance. So, two that come to mind that are actually not in a building would be the old airmail hangar.
Yep.
Seems like we did one for the train station.
Amtrak, yep.
There's one at the chamber, I believe, cut into the exterior of the building. So,
I think, was it Premier Bank uptown, Caddy Corner from the library actually has home saving and loan, I think.
Yeah.
Still in. First Federal.
First Federal, yeah.
Still in the masonry up there. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I don't, okay, no issues here.
okay, last item, it's kind of a two-parter, conditional uses. I would like to remove the conditional use and have these be permitted uses, but leave the regulations in place. This will be for ATM, drive-through, and overnight storage of fleet vehicles. To me, this seems kind of silly. If somebody comes for a site development plan, I'm just gonna use example Rite Aid, when Rite Aid was trying to build downtown. If it would've got approved, they met the zoning, but we'd have to take it to council for the drive-through facility to be approved. So, still leave the regulations in place, just remove the conditional use designation.
Right, as long as they conform to setbacks and so
Yes.
forth,
Yes.
it's allowable.
Seems silly to me to send those three items to council for approval.
I agree.
Good? Alright. Then the last item is commercial business or trade school, funeral home, hotel, motel. Currently have no supplemental regulations in our code book. But are conditional uses, so we really have nothing to satisfy the criteria for conditional use for these three items. So I guess my question is, do we want to keep these conditional use, or do we want to make them permitted use? If we want to keep them conditional use, what kind of criteria do we want to look at for the conditional use?
Was the recommendation from the firm that helped us do this to,
I never got anything from them.
okay,
I'd revisit that for the hotel motel. The trade school piece to me is, they're operating just like our public schools and our private schools are,
Right.
so I don't know that we necessarily need anything there.
no. Funeral home, same way.
Yeah.
Just a hotel motel would be the only thing we would need some regulations on.
Well, let's see here, commercial,
Unless, Brian, you worry that they're gonna get in a building where they don't have enough parking and it runs out somewhere. I mean, that would be the only thing I could imagine might be an issue. So far, we've been pretty fortunate with all those.
If it's a new facility, they have to come to us for a development plan review, and there would be a minimum number of parking places. And I think there still is in your zoning code, if they do have a certain business, certain parking is required anyways to conform, so.
like, yeah, commercial business or trade school is a conditional use and a C3. It's permitted in a C2, MU, I1, and I2.
So if I wanted to put a.
No, not I2, just I1.
So if I wanted to put a business school or typing school or something in the C3, we would need to have a conditional use for it
Correct,
currently.
correct.
Why just that area? Like, what?
I think back in the day, a trade school was like a vocational high school where you're gonna work on semis, farm equipment, construction trades. But trade schools now could be, you know,
In-house.
computers, IT teaching.
I guess I'm just wondering why
Wait.
C3 but not C2? Like, it's just permitted there.
C2 is permitted, C3 is conditional. I'm assuming it's conditional in a C3 because they want storefronts, not schools downtown.
Right.
Okay. That makes sense.
Or you just eliminate that conditional use downtown.
You just don't even allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you completely remove it, then that would, I mean, they could still come for a use variance.
You're right.
I'd be okay taking the conditional out of the C3.
Everybody else okay with that?
Are we okay with our autism schools? Like, if they were down there? Wasn't there one down there at one point?
There was.
And they probably had to come get a conditional use, right?
Not sure if they did or not. That was a while ago.
I know.
The driving school,
Yeah. That could be
but
considered,
I think that's outside the core though.
Yeah, it's outside the core.
But
Well-
this doesn't differentiate.
right?
But that's been there for before
20 years.
Before '01.
So they're grandfathered in.
Right.
I feel like we need to leave it, but set some criteria. That's my opinion, which other people,
And like Bryan said, they could always come for a use variance. if
The
they wanted to
simpler
go
use is a use,
downtown.
the simpler is a use variance, rather than come up with some criteria that we don't know whether it's good or bad.
okay,
They could still do it if they come here and we approve it.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, funeral home is conditional in a C1 neighborhood commercial and a C3 downtown. Which currently, yes, there is one downtown,
Mhm.
2 downtown.
I suppose it better be permitted in all 4.
Well, again, why don't we handle it the same way with the use variance?
Well, if it's conditional, yeah, that's right, we don't have, rather than come up with criteria that is gonna be made up or borrowed from somewhere else.
Just do a use with case by case.
So they're only permitted in a C2 and an MU?
Yeah. The reason I'm saying that is because if you don't get it in the right spot, there's again gonna be 0 parking.
Right.
And you run into issues with the neighbor buildings in the C3. Currently, we do not have that issue,
Yeah,
so.
they've got their own parking lots.
Correct.
And enough off-street,
Yeah.
or on-street parking.
Where they're located.
I don't even think we have a C1 area big enough to house a nursing home
Funeral, you mean?
Funeral home,
or a
yeah.
funeral home. Currently, those areas are tiny.
Yeah,
So then, like the mayor said, and like did with the last one, get rid of the 2 conditional use, and they can get a use variance if they wanna do that.
All right. All right, last one, hotel motel. Did I pass it?
Went by it already, it was just a couple below your last one,
there it is.
right under funeral home.
All right, currently permitted in a C2 and an MU, conditional in a C3. Again, I am saying it's that way because of parking.
But,
Well, we also have the first floor in the C3 where you can't be residential.
Can't rent it out as an apartment
right,
or live there.
Yeah,
You're not living in a motel, you're just staying.
is an Airbnb is a different category than a hotel motel, right?
yes. We don't even have an Airbnb in our code, I don't think.
Well, we made
We got
reference
bed
to
and
it.
breakfast.
Right, I don't think that we should allow hotel motels on the first floor of a C3.
Yeah, it wouldn't be on the first floor. If anything, get rid of the conditional and it's a use variance again, where we have the control over it.
Yeah.
Change those lines and no extra verbiage needed.
Okay, that was all I had.
So I guess the questions are, I know it was a lot for you guys to absorb, but I assume everybody at least glanced at it, looked through it. Our next step, we have two choices. We can either come back and review this again, but we've only got a couple changes that we've discussed here that we really need, unless you guys saw anything from before that really stuck out. You know, we either need to look at it again, or we need a motion to go ahead and send it on to city council for their review, which there'll actually be a public hearing that night. We actually have to advertise that, and they'll do a couple readings on it. So it's whatever you guys as a commission are ready to do. I mean, I know Andrew and I and Tyson, we've all been beating this around the mayor for quite a while, back and forth with the attorneys, and so I think we're ready to move on, but I don't know if you guys had any.
Worst case, I would like to get this in effect by March.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
okay.
Proceed.
Motion by Jack to approve and pass on to city council. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Right. Any further discussion on this?
I would like to thank Andy and Bryan for doing this. It's something that I had asked to be simplified.
Thank Andrew, he did 99%.
I know, Andrew, thank you for that, and I know it's been hard to get all of us in a room and city attorney
COVID hit and
changes
everything else
COVID
hit,
and
and-
everything else, so thanks for not letting it disappear in the pile of things that we deal with every day.
You can
Yeah,
call roll.
biggest thing is get this adopted, and then we can change it on the fly if need be.
But there just needed to be some things that were taking too long
Yep.
removed and addressed differently.
All right, feel free to call roll whenever you're ready, Andrew.
Okay, motion on the floor to amend the changes discussed and present it to city council for approval. Jack?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Tyson?
Yes.
Brian?
Yep.
All right, motion carried. We will present it to council, I believe, the second meeting.
Yeah, we won't have enough time to get the legal notice in for the public
The
hearing.
18th, I
Which would be
think.
the 18th,
Yeah.
Yep.
so.
Okay, does anybody else have anything further, planning commission members? Or Andrew, do you have anything on the agenda coming up? I don't think we do.
No, I do not have anything.
I'd like to recognize Barney Beavers. He passed away and had served for many, many years on this commission. And we were always grateful for the years he put in, but just wanted to recognize that he had served for a long time and has
Yep.
passed.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Any opposition? All right, meeting adjourned.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes, you too. Brian.
I'm gonna take that out.